In this video, we are going to dive into whether or not it's a good idea for you to buy a piece of land and build it from scratch. We'll be diving into the pros and cons of this in this video. My name is William Singh. I'm a local agent here in Portland, Oregon. If you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to leave a comment down below, along with having my contact information there if you want to message me directly. I want to make a note before we start. This is not going to be a video that goes over buying a new construction home. That is when you go to a builder who is already building the place and you then buy that place. You can add a little upgrades, things of that nature with them. However, when it comes to buying a piece of land and then building on that, and you are the one who is really driving this process forward. Now, when we're looking at the general process for this, you're going to be basically building a team for yourself. And if you're looking to buy a place, that's going to be helpful to have an agent. And then you're going to want to definitely have a lender. If you ever need lender recommendations, especially if you're wanting to build a new home, feel free to reach out as well. A lot of lending partners here that specifically help out when it comes to building your own custom home. Now, with that, you're also going to need to get a builder of some sort. And if you're looking to basically be the general contractor or GC of this process, just know it's going to be a lot of work and you will most likely make a lot of mistakes. So just kind of keep that in mind. However, if you are wanting to do that, that's up to you. And then if not, then getting a trusted builder is also going to be very helpful because they'll be able to walk you through the process and they have a lot of those contacts already. So that way, when you do have an issue pop up, they're able to figure that out sooner rather than later. So once you have built that team, then at this point, you are then looking at finding a piece of land that's going to fit your needs. So something to keep in mind that you're going to have to do a lot of due diligence when it comes to doing this, because a lot of that's going to be you talking with the county, city, and figuring out whether or not it's buildable or not and what you would need to do. There might be other options for you as well, just to buy a home that needs to get torn out entirely and then go from there. A big thing you're going to be looking for is utilities and whether or not you have a water, sewer line, or electrical line that's going to be close enough for you to hook up that power and the other lines that are needed in order to have a house that functions. Now, once you are done doing the due diligence and you have bought that piece of land, at that point, then you are bringing in the builder and you're getting everything set up to be permitted and go through that process. Now, this build process can take a very long time. So depending on your situation, I've seen this last as short as maybe a year to year and a half. And I've also seen these processes go as long as maybe 5 to 7 years, depending on the situation you're in and the county you're in, and whether or not you're going to have headaches with permitting and things of that nature. So keep that in mind when you are looking at building a house for yourself. Now, once you've gotten through this process of building everything, you will have that customization. And throughout that process, you're going to be having a conversation with the builder, or you're going to be the GC of your own job. You're going to be walking through that. Just know that there will be some sort of delays in some fashion that pop up somehow. So once everything is built, you're going to be finalizing some things with the lender as well, getting everything figured out in that sense. And there might be a little bit more paperwork, but for the most part, that's the general process. It seems really simple. However, it's a lot of steps in between and will take a fair bit of time. And we'll be diving into the pros and cons here in just a second. So some pros of building is going to be the fact that, one, it's going to be very customizable. Depending on your budget, you'll be able to really put together what you want for that home. And that will also allow you to add all those fun little nooks and crannies in that house that are really custom and allow you to show your personality. And the second major thing is going to be the potential for cost savings. Now, if you are using a builder, then it'll probably cost you a little bit more, but if you're GCing the project yourself, then you'll be able to save some costs on the construction side as well. Now, the third thing is going to be usually a higher resale value. It's going to be a lot different if you build a custom home versus a builder who builds 10 of the same or similar houses. You're going to be able to provide a lot more value, and you're most likely going to have a higher resale value depending on where you're at in that market. With the cons of building, one of the major ones is going to be the length of time. So it's going to usually be a longer process. So keep that in mind, that this is not going to be a situation where you go out, find an existing home, you put in an offer, you're already pre-approved, and then you're able to move into that house 30 days later. This is going to be a much more drawn out process that's going to take many, many years sometimes. However, depending on the situation you're in, that can be helpful, but also problematic depending on the way you've structured that loan as well. The second thing to take a look at is the responsibility. So when it comes to having to do all of this work, it's going to be a lot of responsibility, and this will most likely be a full-time job to a certain extent. I've had many conversations with people who have built their home and they love it. However, they were putting in anywhere between 20 to 40 hours additionally on top of what they were working with to make sure that that worked. And then they were also sometimes doing some of the finish work for themselves as well. So something to kind of keep in mind, that it does get, there's a lot more responsibility with this. And the third major thing is going to be more money, more problems. So you're going to most likely find issues that pop up, whether it be with permitting, whether it be with something not being installed properly or not passing code, or things of that nature that will most likely delay the process of you having to build your home. So also know that with the materials, the way they are, it can sometimes take a lot longer to have them get there. And just know that throughout this process, you'll also probably see some sort of inflation of prices. That's including labor as well. So you might be able to see your costs start to rise as well. Now, a question comes up is this a good fit for you? Now, with a first-time home buyer, I don't usually recommend this.
Nope.
And the reason being is that it's a lot of work and a lot of time to go into building a home. Now, when it comes to an individual who's able to manage that monthly mortgage payment along with other payments and has a little bit more time, that's going to be a great choice for them, especially if they're wanting to customize a lot of their homes. And something to kind of keep in mind is that usually building custom homes will need to be in that higher price bracket just to even make financial sense for a lot of lenders as well. So kind of keep that in mind when you are looking at this. But for a lot of people who have a lot longer time frames, this is going to be a great fit for them, especially if they're wanting that level of customization and allowing you to have what you want in your home, the floor layout, and the joys of being able to have everything that you want in a house. But even know at the end of that, sometimes you'll have small things that you want to change later, which it just is what it is. I've known builders who have built their own homes. They love a lot of it, but there's always going to be that small percentage that they wish they had changed or changed differently to match what their needs are. So just know that even if you built your custom home, it may not be exactly what you want 10 years from now. Some other factors to also consider is whether or not you're building on a hill or not. Just know that the cost of that's going to be a little bit more, especially because of the engineering that's going to need there, and along with the concrete. So you're going to see about a 20 to 30% increase on that, especially if you don't have a lot of space for staging materials and having a place for that. It will cost quite a bit more with that in mind. And on top of that, when it comes to the permitting side of things, just know that certain counties are going to be a lot harder to build, especially in the city of Portland, for example. We have Multnomah County, which is going to have to go through quite a bit of permitting. And usually when you're in the city of Portland, it goes through about 5 bureaus. So that process takes a lot of time. And keep that in mind when you're looking at that versus, let's say you want to build in Washington County or Clackamas County. It might be a little bit easier and a little bit faster. So just kind of depends on your situation, but something you want to keep in mind. Now, if you found any of this content helpful, it would be wonderful if you could hit that like and subscribe button. And if you have any questions about building in Portland, feel free to reach out as well. I'll have my contact information down below, and you can also comment as well. Thank you so much for watching.